Every generation of parents and teenagers, particularly teenage girls, has its share of rocky times. From age-old domestic disputes like chores and curfews to the challenges of today like cell phones and internet access, the struggle for power on both sides remains constant. A new tool for dealing with their parents. Sarah Birmingham is the author of How to Raise Your Parents, a Teen Girl Survival Guide, and she's here and joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So this book isn't meant to help you manipulate your parents.
Not at all.
No, they're trying to bridge the gap.
Right. Well, I wanted it to be really parent-friendly, so parents feel like they can get it for their teenagers and kind of open up a dialogue about what they're going through and how they're feeling about everything from curfews to MySpace to dating.
In essence, it seems a lot like reverse psychology.
Exactly. I think when you're a teenager, you haven't had all the life experience as your parents, and you don't really understand exactly how important negotiation is, how important it is to kind of talk things out. So I'm hoping teenagers can read this book and kind of get some of that experience and learn a little bit and be in a better situation with their parents.
Well, as you know, when you were a teenager and you have 3 sisters,
yes.
I can only imagine what your house was like, but a discussion can quickly turn into a fight. And
right.
So in Chapter 2, it talks about the art of negotiation. And the first tip that you have, which I think is brilliant, is prove yourself.
Right. Well, before you even begin a negotiation with your parents, you have to get them to trust you. And you kind of have to earn that trust. So it's an ongoing thing. One mom that I interviewed actually said that for her, trust is like a bank account. And when her teenager did things right and was proving herself, she was depositing into the bank account, she was much more likely to let her teenager have freedom when there was a lot in the bank account.
The next tip is timing is everything.
Exactly. The worst time in the world to ask your parents for something is when they're rushing off to work in the morning, or they've just come home, they've got a speeding ticket, anything that could cause extra stress. Don't ask then.
Give a little, get a little.
Right. You can always leave the table with something. So it's important parents can leave and teenagers can leave with a little something in their hands.
And I think this last tip, every parent is going to want their child to read. It's, keep your cool when you're talking to your parents.
Right. I mean, breathe. Remember, you're all in this together, Everybody wants the best. Your parents want the best for you, and you want your parents to be happy. So just remember, count to 10, keep your cool.
You compare it to acting like a lawyer in a way.
Right. And, good lawyers go into the courtroom. They're kind of prepared with their argument. They know what they're going to come up against, so they have kind of arguments prepared for that. They're always calm and collected. They're willing to take, a few negotiations and maybe settle. And that's what I think teenagers have to be prepared to do.
I think one of the big things that separates teenagers and parents today is cyber life. What is your advice for both sides to come together on that?
Well, I mean, more than 80% of teenagers spend at least an hour online a day. And more parents are getting online, and I think parents need to get educated about MySpace and Facebook so they can talk to their teenagers about what's okay for online activity and what's not. And I think the teenagers can step in and show their parents how to make iTunes mixes on their iPods and teach them a little bit about Facebook and blogging. And, there can be some good communication there.
And there's also, I think, some concern, though, from the parents' perspective that they're a little worried. How safe is it?
And I think that's totally normal. And that's why I think parents do need to educate themselves. And they need to have a really upfront conversation with their teenagers about how old they can be when they have a MySpace or Facebook profile. Again, what's okay to say online and what's not. And there are different kind of restrictions and access restrictions that you can set up, and parents can help their teenagers do that.
All right, Sarah Birmingham, author of How to Raise Your Parents, a Teen Girls Survival Guide. Thanks so much for joining us
Thanks
this
for
morning.
having me.